Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome to the Crack House Chronicles. We are your host. I am Donnie.
I am Chris.
I'm Bill.
Hey, guys. How about the rain?
Yep.
You don't talk about the weather.
Let's talk about the weather, guys.
I don't want to talk about the weather.
I love talking about weather.
Guys, Chris has
Whether
been,
or not we're going to do this.
Chris has been flooded out. His basement is full of water.
Yeah, 2 nights in a row. It sucks. I'm in the flooded basement club. Anybody want to join?
Look at that indoor pool, man.
Well, if you don't have a flooded basement, then you're just not cool. But I've had it twice now, and I'll probably have it again tonight. And so much fun. It's probably been about an inch deep, and it's talking about the water.
No, we're still talking about the rain.
And first night, it was probably around midnight, and I discovered it. So at midnight, I was shoveling water out of the basement. And then,
How does one discover water in the basement at 12 o'clock?
well, I have dogs pinned up down there, and I go let them
they're
out.
drowning.
Yeah, well, my daughter wakes up, and one of the 4 times a
They were
night she
doing
wakes
the
up.
dog paddle.
Yeah, I went to go let them out, and I stepped right down to the basement, and my foot landed in a puddle of water. I was like, okay.
Yeah,
well.
what'd you think?
So
Gosh, you guys been pinned up down here a long time. I got to let you out.
yeah, I mean it's been a mess. Hopefully nobody else had to go through that. Which I went to Lowe's today, and they were sold out 4 squeegees, and there were guys in there just with freaking the shop vacs left and right. So I guess I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I had water problems in my basement here a while back, but I dug some drainage ditches and diverted some water around, and yeah, took care of it. But yeah, it's a mess if you got it.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's damn muddy water too, man. It's like it's so nasty. And my wife helped me clean it up last night, and at least I had that because the first night I didn't have any help. It was just me, and I just using 2 dust pans, and I was just scooping it out and throwing it outside. But the problem is right outside the door, it was seeping underneath. It was puddled up, so every time I'd scoop it out, it would just kind of make its way right back in. So I was really not getting anywhere. Right now, I have 5 fans blowing downstairs trying to air it out, and I have a dehumidifier that the mother-in-law kind of loaned. Let me use that. So.
Oh, it all dried up pretty good.
Yeah, and then tonight we'll see what happens. The radar is kind of iffy.
Yeah, I hear your mother-in-law don't need that humidifier. It's pretty hot in there now.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to get into our topic of this week. We are going to discuss DB Cooper.
What's the B stand for? Bartholomew?
B? Actually, it don't stand for
anything.
anything. The B don't stand for anything. The B was a typo.
Bartholomew's a name that doesn't get used enough.
No, it doesn't.
Go ahead.
But anyway, the B was actually a typo. It got strewed around by the news media. He signed in. Well, he went to the Portland airport. He went to the Portland airport, bought a ticket, one-way ticket to Seattle. And I think everything I read and heard, he paid like $25, $50 for that one-way ticket back in 1971. This was on Thanksgiving Eve. And he signed in as Dan Cooper. But I guess the media got it messed around a little bit. And
You mean the media wasn't 100% right?
Media wasn't 100% right back in 1971.
I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, it was a typo or something, and they got to calling him DB Cooper, which, I mean, that sounds pretty dang cool.
That's why they kept it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But I mean, Dan Cooper sounds like a made-up name anyway.
Yeah. Well,
And I mean, it could have been, right? Maybe that might be one of the reasons why things ended up the way they did, because it could have been a fake name.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a fake name.
Yeah, that's the whole gist of being
Yeah.
a crook.
Yeah, but
It's called an alias.
yeah, but he was slick. Ain't no doubt about it. But anyway, like I said, he went into Portland Airport, purchased a one-way ticket to Seattle, boarded the plane, had on a suit, a nicely pressed shirt, a clip-on tie with a little mother-of-pearl tie clip.
And he had on loafers too.
Yeah, he did have on loafers.
Yes,
You like loafers, don't you?
Yes, I did.
You should have had some chucks, man. Had to set it off.
Well, keep going. I have a question for later. It's opinionated. Go ahead.
But anyway, he boarded the plane. He had on a rain jacket and a suit and tie, clip-on tie, and he had everybody calls it an attaché case, which sounds so, I don't know what to call it, but I call it a briefcase.
Why'd you say it like that for?
Well, I don't know. I just thought attaché. But anyway,
It's got cachet. It's attaché.
yeah. But that's what he was wanting, some cachet.
I guess people wore trench coats everywhere back then. It didn't look so sketchy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he was dressed up, and he took his seat. And I've seen several reports where he was sitting at the back of the plane, and several reports report different seats that he sat in. But we won't get into all that. But shortly after takeoff, he handed the flight attendant, I guess they called him stewardesses back in 1971, he handed her a note, and she thought
It was a flirtation.
flirtation,
Yeah.
and she didn't even read it at first. And
He's like, you might want to read that.
well, before all that, he ordered. What did he order, Chris?
He ordered a 7-Up and bourbon.
Bourbon and soda. Well, I guess 7 Up.
It was 7-Up.
Yeah, some kind of carbonation with bourbon.
Yep.
And I mean, this guy was cool. I mean, he was slick. And then he handed the flight attendant, well, the stewardess, a note. And like Chris said, she thought he was flirting with her. And he said, "Ma'am, I think you need to read that note." And she read the note, and he told her, said, "I have a bomb," and said that she needed to come and sit beside of him. So, I mean, she went and sat down beside him. She actually requested to see the bomb.
You think she still thought he was trying to pick up on her?
I don't know.
He's like, I got a bomb over here.
Yeah.
Come sit down beside me.
Is that a bomb in your pants, or you just happy to see me?
Drop it on you, baby.
Dropped a bomb on me,
Dun, dun, dun,
baby.
dun, dun.
Oh, we'll have to put that song in the podcast.
There you go. Yeah.
But anyway, where was we at? Yeah, she's sitting down beside of him. She requested to see the bomb, but she told the other flight attendant that, what he had said, and he had to tell the pilots what was going on, that they were being hijacked, and he was requesting $200,000, which,
It was a lot back then, but not a lot
it's
now.
what I read, it was like $1.2 million today. Well, it's a pretty good chunk of change still. And they landed in Portland. Not Portland, I'm sorry. They took off from Portland, landed in Seattle, Washington. And they were going to refuel there. And that's where everything took place. He got to requesting his demands. He wanted 4
Fried chickens.
fried chickens.
No,
he
for white bread, too.
Yeah,
Go
four
ahead.
Happy Meals. No, he wanted 4 civilian parachutes, which that's kind of weird. Him requesting civilian parachutes, and especially 4 of them, because really, like I said, he was slick. He got the authorities thinking maybe he's going to take some people hostage and parachute with him. So that's why they and they were going to give him parachutes that didn't work or something like that. But he requested 4, then you got to make sure all of them work.
Yeah. That's pretty slick. I didn't realize that.
Oh yeah, this guy was slick. And when they got to doing the demands, that's when he started wearing his little mirrored shades.
Yeah, he put the shades on and took his clip-on tie off.
He also requested to have the letters back.
Yeah, about the bomb. He wanted that back.
Makes sense.
But really, I thought, what douche would wear a clip-on tie? But you got to think about it. If he's going to jump out of the back of a plane, he wouldn't want a real tie catching on something and possibly hanging him or getting hooked on something.
Hey Donnie, what douche wants to jump out of a plane in loafers? You gonna go parachuting out of a plane? Who wants to try to land on the ground with loafers on? You need to have your Nikes on or something like that, man.
Yeah, but this was
Nikes wasn't even invented then, probably.
Yeah, but this was DB Cooper. I mean, he could do that stuff.
Loafers, man.
But see, that lends into what we probably get into later. Go ahead.
Yeah, but see, it was DB Cooper. He could do that stuff. I mean, it might have been Chuck Norris for all we know.
Oh my god.
But anyway, you probably
See, you don't realize, though, Chris, I mean, we're talking about this, and this guy, by today's standards, was a terrorist.
Oh, yeah.
But you got to look. From 71 to now, this guy's been, as much as a bad guy, he has been an anti-hero or a hero to people, man.
I know.
He stuck it to the man.
Yeah.
Got away with it.
There was never a hijacking demanding money before him. Everybody once wanted to go somewhere. They wanted to go to Cuba or South America or somewhere like that. They just wanted to go somewhere. He demanded money. He was an innovator. He wanted money, and they were hundreds of copycats after him. But I mean, he set the trend on hijacking, that's for sure.
Why do you think he put on sunglasses afterwards? After everybody's already seen him,
Because he's cool like that.
that makes no sense.
Right.
He figured if he was trying to,
That could be a
have
glitch in his plan, though, man.
Yeah,
he's
he
smart.
figured if he's
but
going to
he
have
can
like
be smart.
a disguise, he figured he would have entered the plane with the sunglasses on.
So I didn't think he ever had them off. I didn't know that. I
Yeah,
just
he put
assumed
them
always
on.
had 'em. Yeah.
He put them on. Like it's like whenever they landed and they're about to take off again, he's like he just made that transition. He just like, you know what, screw this, takes the tie off,
Hey.
puts his sunglasses on.
Hey, well, he put them on because they got two different mugshots. So hey, he got two different mugshots,
But
or
some-
not mugshots, sketches.
I don't like him
Yeah.
because he's wearing sunglasses inside of a airplane
Yeah,
and at night.
and he
on
was
top of that.
smoking in the airplane too.
Mhm.
Yeah, what a rebel.
Yeah, they could actually do stuff like that, smoking on the airplane. But anyway, they landed in Seattle, and he told him his demands. He wanted 4 parachutes, civilian parachutes.
They went back up into the air, and he told him where he wanted to go.
Well, they told him he wanted to go to Mexico,
Yeah.
but they didn't have enough fuel to make it to Mexico, and they were going to have to stop in Las Vegas.
The pilot made his own route. The route they actually took wasn't where what's his name wanted to go. They just knew where he wanted to end up at, but the pilot actually chose to go the route they took. So
But what we got to get back to is they spent a long time in Seattle, buying time, trying to negotiate with him, trying to.
Recording all those serial numbers on that money.
Oh yeah, they recorded, they microfilmed all the serial numbers on them $20 bills.
Which I'll never understand. If you're going to hijack something and want money, why would you request money whenever it's just going to get traced? Because you can't spend that money. Because if you do, they're going to be around your tail.
I don't know.
Why would somebody want money as a demand?
So he might not thought, well, this is the first time it's ever happened, though. So he maybe didn't think they were going to do that.
Well, you figure somebody that's going to be brave enough to... Somebody's probably never parachuted before or jumped out of a plane. It's going to take have the nerve to do that, but not think enough the money thing.
What'd you say again?
What?
What'd you first start saying? You think somebody who's something out of a plane never jumped out of a plane?
Yeah.
We don't know he's never jumped out of a plane.
Well,
This is probably in his first.
But we don't know. He don't know about serial numbers on money either. Though.
Right, but what we're saying is, he probably wasn't the first time he ever jumped out of a plane.
I would say not. I'd say he'd jumped out of planes before.
Probably many times.
Well, you know, one of the parachutes he got was a dummy. Was a training parachute, so it was sewed closed. That could have been one of the ones he used when he went down. And if it is one of the ones he used when he went down, it would be a novice to not be able to pick it up. That hey, this is not an actual working parachute. He's up in the air. Told me he want to go to Mexico.
But they didn't have enough fuel to get to Mexico, so they had to stop in. They were going to have to stop in Las Vegas. What they told him. But he's got to be pretty smart to pick this plane as a 727 plane with a rear door flap. They call it an air stair. I mean, so he can bail out of that thing. Kind of like what you see on, some of these movies where these paratroopers are jumping out of the back of a plane. That's the kind of the plane it was with those steps out the back end of it.
Well, it wasn't but it wasn't like a big ramp.
No, it was stairs.
It was just a small little set of steps.
Mm-hmm.
It also, well, go ahead.
But anyway, after they took off from Seattle, he'd ordered all the passengers that were on the plane. They got to leave. It was just a crew that was left on the plane when they took off from Seattle.
And he said he's very polite too.
I always said he was very polite,
Yeah.
very suave, nice guy. And they said that he was probably in his mid-40s, anywhere from 5'10" to 6 foot, slender built man, which gets into thinking that maybe this guy was maybe ex-military or something, that he knew how planes worked and how different things, because he had told them when they took off from Seattle that he wanted them to stay at 10,000 feet and keep their speed. I think it was 100, 150 miles per hour. It was just enough to keep the plane up and the flaps down. It was just enough. So he had to have some kind of training or knowledge to be able to know that. I mean, I don't know that stuff. Nobody who thinks about stuff like that. So I think he had some military aircraft training somewhere along the way.
See, the stairwell also had, well, of course, it had an alarm when it was set down. And also, I want to say it had an alarm, a pressure sensitive, like somebody was on it. Mm-hmm. That played into it, too.
But he told them they didn't want any cabin pressure. Mm. Release all the cabin pressure. And I guess that helped when he opened those stairs up, that it wouldn't suck anybody or anything out.
But still, it was still if he lived through it, which we assume he did because they never found a body, that's the highest unaided parachute jump without, like, because you can't breathe that high. And you would be dead before it was so high that you need a breathing apparatus to survive the fall, just to get to the point where you deploy the chute. But they were saying, that's what I'm saying. I saw a thing one time and it was talking about, and I apologize, I didn't look it up, but it's almost like he let the stairs down and they never knew when exactly he jumped. See what I'm saying? So, so they say we let the stairs down here. We discovered him that he wasn't here, but it might have been 100 miles away.
Yeah, because everybody was in the cockpit.
Yeah.
There was nobody back there at the back of the plane where he was. And he left his clip-on tie there, and with the little clip.
Yep.
He left that on the plane.
Like a screw you.
That's it. Like, hey, yes, I'm gone. But they don't really know. Like I said, at what point he bailed out of the plane. Yeah, they don't know.
Getting back to the folklore and the folk hero, let's put it that way. He's a folk hero. There's been, I know of 3 different movies. 2 movies I know based on his life or based on him living through it and being this guy. And a 3rd movie where I think Burt Reynolds played the guy and they more or less let it be that he was DB Cooper. Mm-hmm. It was called Up the Creek, maybe. I think it had David Spade and some of them in it.
Yeah, and it had Dax Shepard in it.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. They were all buddies and they went back camping.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they ended up running into
running into Burt Reynolds up in the woods somewhere.
They made it out like he was DB Cooper.
Yeah, that's a pretty killer movie. Yeah. But like you said, they don't know exactly what point he bailed out, and he jumped out over the Great Northwest somewhere over a heavily forested area, somewhere near the Columbia River, I think, because later on, I think it was in 1980, there was a little boy there with his family. They were camping or doing some different things, and he discovered a bag of money, and it was $20 bills, and they got to checking it, and those serial numbers matched what DB Cooper had. And just a little side note too, I think they had sold some of those bills at auction. I think one of them sold for $30,000, just one of those $20 banknotes, to have some of that money. So they didn't find all the money, but they found some of it. It was a few $1,000s, but it was very deteriorated. They couldn't, they could only. It was like part of a note.
Yeah, and they didn't know how it got there. They didn't know if it came down through the river or if he came back and buried it there or put it there to throw him off.
Just a little trivia. The movie was 2004. It's called Without a Paddle. Matthew Lillard, Seth Green, and Dax Shepard. Another, when I said a while ago when we was talking about it, I said the main character of the television series Twin Peaks 1990 is named Dale Bartholomew Cooper after DB Cooper.
Yeah.
I told you Bartholomew, man.
That was actually as a comic with overseas. It was a comic book. As a character's name was Dan Cooper, I believe. It was the name of the comic book, and they're thinking maybe that's how he got his name that he used in the airport.
I remember the first time I heard this story was on the TV show In Search Of. It was hosted by Leonard Nimoy.
Well, I probably saw that same year.
Yeah, and I've always been intrigued by that because they never They never found him. I mean, this was the only hijacking that's never ever been figured out. I mean,
Yep.
this is the only one.
1988 episode of Unsolved Mysteries focused on the skyjacker.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he survived it. I just don't think
What happened to his body then?
he'd
'Cause
be way too famous to still be in hiding. And I mean, you've got people who've acted and said that, oh, I'm DB Cooper. Why would you want to say that you are the real DB Cooper whenever if you admit that you're gonna be in trouble? It's not like you're just gonna be a superstar and you're gonna just end up on the Hollywood what's it, this Walk of Fame, whatever. I mean,
there's been several people been suspected over the years that the FBI have focused on. One of them was Richard Floyd McCoy Jr. And I'm looking at his picture right here on the internet, and I mean, he favors DB Cooper a lot. And he was an Army veteran. He served 2 tours in Vietnam. He was first as a demolition expert, and then later with the Green Berets as a helicopter pilot. I mean, you look at his picture, man, he looks dead on like DB Cooper.
Well, that sketch was pretty generic. I mean, it could go for a lot of different people, though.
Yeah.
That's the reason why so many people got away with saying, "Oh, well, that's me."
And get this too. On April 7th of 1972, McCoy staged the best known of the so-called copycat hijackings.
Yeah.
So,
He asked for a lot more money too.
Yeah, that's why you can kind of, I've read about several of these, and he's right up there on my list.
Well, it usually is a copycat though with every murderer, like especially famous one. Everybody wants to get that fame, and they want to think that they can do it better. But I don't understand why somebody would want to try to take on. And usually the people who said they knew somebody or something like that usually is on like a deathbed situation when they're like, well, I gotta admit something to you. I'm actually DB Cooper, and I did that, skyjacking, and I mean that's usually how it came out.
And then there's another one that's very high up on the list as far as suspects on this was a Robert Rackstraw. He was a retired pilot, an ex-convict who served as an Army helicopter during the Vietnam War. He came to attention of the Cooper Task Force in 1978 after he was arrested in Iran and deported to the U.S. to face explosive possession. But he was released on bail and attempted to fake his own death. But yeah, he's way up there on their list as far as being DB Cooper. But then there's been other people that's come forward. There was another one. I think his last name was Christensen. I don't remember his first name, but it was like everything I heard that before DB Cooper, he had 2 lives. One before DB Cooper happened, and one after DB Cooper happened. And after, he had all this money that he was giving people, and paid off his parents' home mortgage, and just giving money away left and right. But that leads me to think, like you said, they had all this money, the serial numbers microfilmed. They had every note written down. So that stuff would have shown up somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, the money was never spent. None of the serial numbers ever ran. That's why I'm thinking either he's dead. He's dead. I mean, I don't think he survived that. Or why would he ask for money if he wasn't going to spend it? If he was smart enough to know he couldn't spend it, why would he have asked for money?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of think that he might have survived because, he was slick up to that point. Everything he did was just textbook.
But what would have been the point? Just saying that you did it?
Yeah, some people will like it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's... ask for that much money. I mean, you might as well just ask for $100 if you knew you ain't going to spend it.
Yeah. I mean, it makes me think, too, it's all $20 bills. I know it's all recorded, but is it possible just to throw some out in circulation here and there, go spend it at a convenience store?
How long you got to think they're going to worry about that? You know what I'm saying? I was trying to look up the statute of limitations because, but they charge them with crimes. They charge DB Cooper with crimes what I'm thinking is, if he laid out so long, what is it, statute limitation on certain things is.
Yeah, it's done run out on him.
They put another charge on him though, so that way they could always do it. But they actually, 45 years after he jumped, they finally closed the case.
I saw a good report here. It's been the last year or two, where they really tried. It was FBI agents. They really tried to dig it up on him and try to find out. And it was about that Robert Rackstraw and that other guy. Mm-hmm. And man, that was some of the most what do you say, convincing evidence. But then they tore it all apart there at the end, and they closed it. But what I was getting into is, yeah, there's a statute of limitations on him and the crime, but what's the statute of limitations on finding that money? Not statute of limitation, but what's the, you got all that. They're not going to search. 71, we didn't have a computer system. Now you can probably I don't know, maybe something scans it or whatever. But what I'm saying is, if he pays you $20 and you $20 and it goes from you to somebody else, and it goes from you to somebody else, and that old Joe at the convenience, at the general store or whatever, heck, half those people didn't even trust banks probably in 71. And what I'm saying is, it might take years for that money to get in there.
That's right.
Yeah, but the fact that none of it was ever used, I mean...
But
none of the serial numbers ever came up. I mean, even now, they can run the serial numbers and see...
But that ever so often they take money, they just take it out of circulation, and they go in, they poke holes in it, and they shred it, and they just throw it away.
Yeah. And
they put more in. That's what I'm saying. It could have been circulating around, and was it nationwide? I mean, who all? What I'm saying is, how do you track that money? Yeah, you got the serial numbers recorded, but you're gonna ask. Bobby Sue over at the general store, you need to watch every $20 and look for these numbers. They got more things important to do than that. And, and then there again, you just heard, I mean, he's a folk hero, more or less. I mean, he's an anti-government hero or whatever. People's like, let him get away with it. So for every person that might have had to turn that in, my point is, how are you supposed to track it? There was a thing. What was it? A guy stole a bunch of money one time. Oh, it might have been the was them rednecks over at Kramer Mountain.
I can't think of it right now.
Anyways, my point is, my daddy's a good, honest man. If y'all don't know me, he's a Southern Baptist preacher. But sometimes the most honest man can come up with the best ways to get out of something. And I forget what it was, but we were talking one time, and he said, here's what I would do. If I had a bunch of money that was not mine, I wanted to go through it and spend it and escape, possibly getting caught. He said, first of all, I'd look through the want ads and find somebody with a motorhome that I could drive around the country. He said, they probably don't want, this is 20 years ago, say they want $10,000 for it. Well, they're not going to, $5,000, whatever. You pay them in cash. They don't care. They got $5,000 for the hunk of junk they're trying to get rid of. He said, then you hear all these KOAs every night. You just travel the country. A little bit here, a little bit there.
Dropping a 20 here, dropping a 20 there.
And he said, you could go all over the country for so many years and nobody ever know it. He said, you just disappear because they're all looking over here. And I'm like, that's a pretty ingenious plan. The where you get caught is you go spend all that money at one time. Mm-hmm. Those people at Kramer Mountain, that's what got them caught. They were spending tons of money, and that's not here and there, but it's along the same lines. It's like, how do you get rid of that massive amount of money? But within that lies 1971, right?
Mm-hmm, 1971.
No computer systems, and if they are, they're archaic. I don't think that's a priority. I mean, it was at that time. It was in Portland, Oregon, and everything, but he might have had a car stashed and ready to go and drove himself to Mexico. If he had a full tank of gas, he's 200 miles away before he has to drop $1. I mean,
It's very possible, because I remember one of the interviews that they interviewed the stewardess, and he would actually point out when they would fly over a city or a town, he said, "Oh, that's so and so town. That's so and so town." He knew exactly where he was in the air.
There was a big theory that he had worked for the airlines, and that he had actually been a mechanic or something like that, I believe, for these planes. So if you're going to be somebody like that, you're probably going to fly a lot too. And if you're ex-military, you're probably going to know how to see the layouts and stuff just from maps, stuff that you could have easily gotten that time.
So yeah, I mean it. Oh, when you get back to him being a folklore and everything, every year, I think it's Portland or Seattle, one of those two towns.
Washington.
Is it Washington? Mm-hmm. They hold a DB Cooper.
Encyclopedia Brown over here, man.
They hold a DB Cooper festival every year.
Yeah, in honor of his name, which I think is stupid, by the way. That's so stupid.
Oh man, that'd be great.
No, dude, yeah, I would, if it wasn't across the country, I'd go to it.
Oh yeah, everybody dressing up.
Yeah,
but on the DB Cooper
outfits. That's what I'm saying.
Shades.
For every crime, as long as there's nobody dead in the crime,
nobody died.
Nobody died in the crime.
Second, guys. That's every Saturday after Thanksgiving they do that.
No.
Yeah. What's that? Oh, well, okay. Yeah. But anyways,
boy's done his research.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate that, Chris. But anyways, my point being, you look at a crime where a lot of money got took and nobody died, there will be a substantial part of this population in America that'll be pulling for that guy never to get caught.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
I don't see him as a hero, man.
I know. I mean, they would talk him down.
Ballsy, maybe, but not as a hero. I just don't know why people, even still to this day, would celebrate somebody. Not even somebody's real name. They celebrating DB Cooper. They ain't even celebrating. Even if it was celebrating Dan Cooper, ain't his damn name either. So it's like
he stuck it to the man, Chris. There's a lot of people love it when you stick it to the man.
If he died, did he really stick it to the man? You know,
the man lost $200,000.
It's only sticking it to the man if the money was spent, if he used his own real name, and if he lived.
Yeah, but he's a legend. You know. And,
how's that a legend? Is that Larry the legendary status?
I mean, he hijacked a plane. I mean, he was the first one to do it for money. I mean, he was the first. He like I said, he was a trendsetter for this.
If somebody goes and jumps off the Empire State Building and lives, is he legendary?
Yeah. If he lives after that,
people's got in a barrel and went over Niagara Falls.
Lucky.
But if he would have died, he would have been an idiot.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, that's
still an idiot.
That's the point, though, man. What, you didn't give us a question that made any sense. You said if a guy jumped off the Empire State Building and lived, would he be legendary? Yes, he would be legendary.
No, he'd be stupid.
No, if he lived, he would be legendary, Chris.
But if he died,
he'd be an idiot. I agree with you on that. But
he's still a dumbass if he jumps off the Empire State Building. If he lives or not.
If he lives, he's a legend.
Yeah,
legendary dumbass, maybe.
Trust me. You jump off the Empire State Building and live, you will never buy another thing in your life.
If he jumps off the Empire State Building and lives, he'll be on Jimmy Fallon the next night.
Oh, dear Lord of mercy.
Oh, he will. He'll be able to write his own check. And it's like people went over Niagara Falls in a barrel and lived, and they're legendary.
Yeah, I mean, that's the basis of American life, man. You challenge fear and death, and you live. Yeah, there's a lot of people that die, and you're like, what an idiot. But that one guy lives through it, man. You're like, whoo, man, that dude is tough. That's like a dude who went up in space and jumped, did the free fall from outer space. He didn't have to do that, and I wouldn't do it. But man, for a minute there, he was a pretty freaking famous dude. Yeah,
but since he died, I think he died. That don't make him legendary. And you just said if the guy who jumped on the Empire State Building would have died, he'd been dumb.
Look at this. I see where you're going. Yes, let's say he died that night, but nobody ever found a body, and they grid searched that whole area.
But nobody spent the money.
I don't care. That's not the point. My point being is, he is still legendary. If he hit the ground so hard that he went 10 foot down and dirt covered him up and they never could find him, he's still legendary because you know why? That was 1971. This is 2019. And even us three dumb hicks are still talking about him. And there's people that have, that you said have a party from. Look, most people have parties just a reason to get drunk.
Absolutely.
But hey, Them people digging DB Cooper. And DB Cooper, for that reason alone, could be a legend, man. Hey, I understand your point of view, and I think you could open up a little bit, but yeah, if you think he's that way, that's fine. But there's no doubt about it, the man is a legend. He could have died that night. He'd been a legend.
I don't know, man.
Now, if you found his body, total different story.
People
He's
do
just
dumb
an idiot.
stuff all the time, and they're just known as just dumb people.
But it's what
I
they
don't
do.
understand.
It's all about the fail or success.
But
Right.
if he didn't spend the money, he didn't do it for the money.
You
Then
know,
he just went skydiving at night and hijacked the plane.
but we don't know he didn't spend that money. We assume he didn't.
We don't know. Let's just come off the fence right now and just, Chris, just you throw it out there. Do you think he lived or died?
Died.
You think he died?
He's dead. The dude is dead. And I don't know. He
Well, he's
really
probably
hit the-
dead now, but you think he died in that? You think he died in that jumping out of that plane?
Absolutely. I don't think somebody would ask for money and not spend it. And like I said, if he knew that he couldn't spend the money because serial numbers, then he never would
He
ask for
didn't
the
really
money.
know that.
Well-
he just maybe assumed it.
Then why wouldn't he spend it then?
I'm saying you don't know he didn't.
All right, Bill. What do you think? You think he died that day, or do you think he lived on? And
No, I think he lived.
you think he did?
He may have died from it, but he lived, I think.
Hey, no, you got a Ouija board. Let's just ask him.
Oh yeah, my Ouija board's in there on the shelf. Now,
I'm out of here.
as for me, I think he lived. I think he lived through it and went on. I don't, like I say, I don't know if he spent it and shelled out a little bit of money here and there, or spent it at the grocery store and bought stuff here and there, just to keep it untraceable. But yeah, I kind of think he lived through it.
But back then, did people put their money in banks? Was that like just something they did?
They did, but
Or did something...
Not everybody. I guarantee you people around here didn't.
no. If he'd have put it in the bank, it'd have caught him right away.
Right.
But no.
But even if he went to Mexico, he couldn't have spent it in Mexico. He would have had to trade it out for pesos, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did they have pesos then in Mexico?
Oh yeah.
Hell, I don't know. Things change.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't alive back then like y'all
Well,
geezers.
pesos like less than a penny, so I hope he traded for more than pesos.
I don't know, man.
I don't. Think
I didn't do my research on that.
I don't think he went to Mexico. I think he hung around that area and just.
But come on, man. He's going to have money. He's going to have money to survive. I mean, he can't just go out and get a job the next day, especially when there's a...
Ex-military, man.
But no, if they have a sketch of him released in newspapers, why would he go out and get a job when there's going to be wanted posters up of him and everything like that? You can't just go out and get a job right away. He's going to have money to live off of. Which brings me back to my point. None of the serial numbers were ever put in the system as being used, spent, anything like that. And I'm sure something was sent out saying, he asked for $200,000. We got serial numbers on it.
So you think they called the community mart down the street right here and said, hey, this guy shows up with some $20 bills, or anybody shows up with $20
Well, Donnie,
bills.
nobody goes to Falston, so no.
Well, man, I'm just saying.
That's our point, though.
Yeah.
That's our point. Nobody goes to Falls.
But where did they think he landed at? Where, towards Las Vegas?
No, it was
up in the Great
it
Northwest.
was in the wilderness. That's where he landed, supposedly.
But there again-
Nobody knows exactly where he supposedly landed.
The people they think what did they think he was ex-military? They just said ex-military. Right?
Yeah.
All right. The guys that they thought were him, did it say what ex-military they were? That one guy said he brought him back from Iran or Iraq, didn't he?
Yeah, but he was.
Here's my point. At that time, he could have been a Green Beret. Green Beret. Well, really, if you know any long-term...
Yeah, McCoy was a Green Beret.
Right. Okay. I'm not saying that's him, but my point being is ex-military, ex-Green Beret, they don't live on $200,000. They live off the land and a lot of things. The $200,000 just could have been a stick in the eye. And he could have lived off the land. There's... You turn some people wrong like that, they stuck it to you, and their benefit is living, and you never getting caught, and you never getting your money back.
He was quoted. I think one of the stewardess maybe had asked him, "Why are you doing this to us?" or something like that, and he said, "I'm not doing it to you. I'm doing it to them."
There you go.
But okay, I can see him being a vigilante, like I'm stick it to the man type of thing, but I don't think he would have just not used the money. I don't think that he would just be like, I'm just going to ask for it just for the heck of it. I mean, I think he took the money so that way he could spend it whenever he got where he was going. And if he knew exactly where he was, why would you try to land in a bunch of woods and stuff? Because they didn't have technology where they're just going to find you immediately right when you drop. Why not go for like grasslands or something like that, like in the middle of a field? Because
easier to spot.
Ex-military, ex-Green Beret would look for stuff like that.
But they didn't know where he was. So what does that matter? What does it matter if you drop in a wooded area or if you drop in the middle of a field? They didn't have the technology where they're like tracing him and like, oh, well, this is where he's at there. This is where the plane is right here. They didn't know.
But they did know how to trace stuff back then. I mean, even though it was 1971, they had capability of finding people.
Well, and on top of that too, it's not okay. Here's the tree section. The tree section goes forever. We already know he spotted that town there, that town there, that town there. He dropped the tailgate or the ladder or the ramp, whatever it was. He dropped it at a certain time. They didn't find out he was gone for another certain time. He could have landed in a grassy field.
Exactly. What's what I'm saying. Even if they were tracing a plane, they still don't know where he's at. So he would if he had in his head exactly where he's going to jump, he would have. Which it's at nighttime. How the heck would he know that? I mean, come on. He can't
Green
look down.
Beret, man. Navy SEALs.
But we don't know he was Green Beret. I mean, people. I mean,
you don't know he what? No.
There was no interview with this guy, so all this is speculation. I mean, only thing we know is the people who talked to him on the plane. That's the only thing we know.
Even this other guy, even Rackstraw, he was a retired pilot. He was also served on the Army helicopter crew during Vietnam. So, I mean, these guys weren't just Joes out here on the street. They had training. They had military training, air training in helicopters and airplanes and stuff. They just weren't just me or you. I mean, they knew how to do stuff. They knew how to spot stuff from the air.
He could have dropped that one bag of money to throw him off the scent.
Could have. He really could have.
Yeah, but no.
Somebody will find this down the road and they'll think.
They never found a parachute. They never found anything.
No, they didn't.
So what? Okay, if he didn't live through this, you're saying he just jumped down the cord?
Well, they were saying that by what they could figure out, they think he landed in the water because they think the money went through the water to land where it was found at, like right there in that. What do they call it? What's the word? It was right there in the dirt or the sand.
It was like a sandbar.
Yeah. So they said the only way he could have got there from near where he jumped at was by water. So if he would have landed in the water, you're going to have that big old parachute behind you. At least one. How would you survive? You'd have to take all that stuff off while in the rapids of the river.
Exactly. You're making our point.
I'm saying, there ain't no way he could survive.
All right, he couldn't survive. All them rapids and all them rocks are going to hang on what? That big parachute. You saying your theory is he died?
Yeah. Your
theory is also let's go. When he jumps off the plane, does he pull a ripcord? Does he make the parachute open?
If he didn't use the training one, yes.
Okay. Regardless,
but you ain't gonna be able to steer it.
He's gonna float. He's gonna float. After so many days, your body bloats up and you float to the surface. They're gonna find that dead body somewhere. Second of all, he pulls the cord. And okay, so you saying he pulled the cord or not? You're going on this dummy parachute thing?
I don't know. Yeah, sure. They gave him a dummy parachute. If he wasn't experienced and he used a dummy parachute and didn't use the good one.
Well, but what I'm saying is, if he pulled the ripcord and he popped that chute and he died in the rapids, what happened to the parachute?
It could be in the tree. Who says
you just said he landed in the water?
I'm saying that's what they're saying happened with him. I'm saying
right. Okay,
what
so
if he hit a tree on the way down?
Okay, he hit a tree. That's still a parachute in the tree.
Could be.
They grid searched this whole.
That's a vast lot. Since they didn't really know where he landed at.
Man, it's usually bright white. And then it start getting all these colored parachutes till it became a big thing to jump out of planes. It's probably going to be was it a military chute?
Civilian. They were civilian shoots.
All right. Well, still.
I mean, I don't know.
It's going to be a bright color. It's not going to be green.
I'm saying I ain't never seen a parachute in person. I don't know the quality of them. I don't know if they would just
they're huge,
rip apart. I don't know if they would shred.
They're made to hold up. I mean, they just don't give you an umbrella and jump out of a plane with. I mean, they give you something that's going to hold up.
So if he dies, then there's a body laying there. There's attached to a parachute. There's an unopened or an open parachute.
His loafers.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna find a loafer, man. It's gonna fall off his foot.
I don't know
man.
about water though. Water will take anything. You don't know how long it's going to take it.
Where's it gonna go to though?
I don't know.
Water
keeps going and going and going and going.
But these rivers get low and high, and
they would have found something.
They would have found a body.
They didn't find anything. They didn't find any trace of him.
Animals could have ate on his body.
But even if animals do eat on a body, they don't eat all of it.
Yeah, but I mean, you go walk in the woods right now, you can find stuff that are valuable because not everything gets found. It's lost. Not everything gets. There's things out there that we still have yet to discover just because the world is so big and you can't possibly find everything and see everything.
Yeah, but they didn't find anything on this guy. I mean, this was a big freaking deal back then. They had FBI military searching for this area. They didn't find nothing. They weren't just out there to say let's have a search party. I mean, they were searching that whole area. It was a big deal.
And he would have jumped with his suitcase that had the bomb in it, right? The homemade bomb.
Yeah, he took it with him.
So, why would you jump with a bomb?
It was supposedly a bomb. We don't know.
All right.
Okay, and so I'm thinking these must have not been the smartest people because there's at least 4 or 5 people in the cockpit, and you have one guy that says he's got a bomb. Once he opened that door, why didn't they go back there? It was on autopilot.
They don't know where the bomb was left.
Mm-mm.
I know, but if he's opened up that back door,
They were hostage. They were just doing what they were told. I
Yeah,
would have done the same
but
thing.
the only thing he had was the bomb. But I'm saying once they opened up that back,
And he had a bag of money.
that rear door back there, obviously he's got parachutes, so he's going to jump. He ain't going to leave the bomb on the plane.
They didn't know that.
Mm-mm.
I mean, why not just...
If I had a real bomb, I wouldn't have took it with me.
Why not wrestle the guy to the ground, take the suitcase, throw it off the plane? He already had the door open. It was depressurized. It ain't like it's going to suck him out once they come out the cockpit.
I don't think it was a real bomb. I think it was just some parts of shiny used pinball machine parts like Dr. Brown
I'm
said.
saying if people like that were the ones that are searching for this parachute and stuff, really, I don't trust them. I question their wit. I don't know if they could have... I don't think they could have pulled off a good search for anything if they came and handle a situation like that. Especially if it's a scrawny little runt.
They never did find anything.
Legendary.
Only years later, it was a little bit of money, which he could have, threw some out, like Bill said, throw some people off. But, nobody knows. Nobody knows what happened to him. All right, guys, we're going to ramp up this DB Cooper podcast. Any last words, Chris?
This weather sucks.
Bill, you got anything to add?
DB Cooper lived.
Rock on, DB Cooper. Now, guys, I just want to remind everybody, our website is up, crackhousechronicles.com. Go there. There's a link on the homepage where you can subscribe to our podcast. Just put in your email, and you will get notified when new episodes are dropped. There is also a donate button there if you'd like to help contribute to the podcast. Help us buy gas money, equipment, whatever. Anything you want to do is greatly appreciated. Also, go to our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Check us out. We're always posting new stuff there. All right, guys. With that being said, this is
The Crack House Chronicles.